Hello everyone, by far we have studied about some concurrency control protocols. So we have already studied about three concurrency protocols. Now we are going to study about fourth protocol, that is validation based protocol. So what is all these protocols we are studying, we are always trying to maintain a database in consistent state. Because of this we are actually studying about all these properties like serializability and the recovery methods, and then we have studied about concurrency protocols. These all are the methods which maintains our database consistent. because of thing because of this thing that always want our database in consistent state, we are performing some operations. So what was the need of these things? Because when we were talking about the transaction, we were seeing that multiple transactions were executing at the same time. So because of multiple transactions are executing at the same time, they are operating some different operations, and these different operations sometimes leaves our database in an inconsistent state. And because of this inconsistency, we have studied serializability concepts and concurrency protocols. Now we are going to study about the fourth protocol. As we have studied the three protocols earlier, this is the fourth protocol that is used in concurrency control. So what is validation protocols? Validation based protocol is also known as optimistic concurrency technique. This is the other name of validation based protocol. In this protocol, we this protocol is used in DBMS for avoiding concurrency in transactions. That means the issue of concurrency of transaction is actually entertained here. It is called optimistic, as we have seen in the name of validation based protocol. We have said that this is also known as optimistic concurrency control technique. So it is also called optimistic because of the assumptions that it makes. No checking is done while the transaction is being executed. Until and unless we haven't reached at the end of the transaction, there will not be any checking. That means, as in the earlier transaction operations, we are going to check each and every checking at each and every step of the transaction operations. But here we are not going to check any of the operations in between the transaction is executing the operations. If there are suppose six operations which are operated by T1. So this protocol is not going to check each and every operation in the transaction until the transaction end is reaches. Updates in the transactions are not applied directly to the database. As in the previous protocol, we were saying that each and every operations which we were executing, it is maintaining the or it is updating the database according to the values they have operated. But in this validation based protocols, we are not going to make the final updates of any of the transactions operation until and unless we haven't reached the end of the transaction and the whole transaction is not validated. After validating the whole transaction, only then we are going to make the permanent changes in the database. We are not going to make any permanent change in the whole process of the transaction. So all updates are applied to the local copies of data items kept for transaction. Then where we are actually updating our data values, if we are not making any changes in the database, instead of making permanent changes in the database, we are making changes on the local variables or the local copies of these data items. These are known as the temporary files, because there is no permanent change until and unless we haven't reached the end phase of that. So validation protocol, at the end of the transaction execution, while execution of transaction, a validation phase checks whether any of the transaction updates violate serializability. So how we will get to know about that if we have checked all these transactions at the end of this? See, if this transaction is executed properly or not, if we are not going to check each and every step, or we are not going to make the changes, then how we can understand that this transaction is validated or not, if this transaction has executed in a proper format or not. So at the end of the each transaction, we are going to make the validation phase, or we are going to check the validity of the transaction, if it is violating the serializability concept or not, serializability property or not, because this serializability actually helps us to maintain the database in consistent state. If serializability is not achieved, then we cannot say that we cannot say our database is consistent or this is working properly, and no false statements or no false updations are made on our database. If there is no violation of serializability, the transaction is committed. That means if it the transaction has successfully validated the property of serializability, then we will make permanent changes in the database, or the changes which we have made in the local copies are now permanently saved on our database, or the value will and the value will be updated as per the local copies. The transaction is then updated if it does not uh, if it does not follow the concept of serializability, and it has not achieved the serializability concept, then we can say that the transaction will be updated again and it will be rolled back, and we are going to operate all those operations again which we have done earlier. So optimistic concurrency control is a three-phase protocol, as in the previous protocol which we in timestamp based protocols we have studied the three phases of it. This protocol also has three phases, but these three phases are different from the timestamp based protocols. What these three phases are? These three phases are read phase, validation phase, and the write phase. In this read phase, transaction if read will always do the read operation, that it will read the variable from the database, it will read the variable value. Then if any of the changes that after read will be made, or any of the write operations after read has been made in a transaction, these write will not update the values in database permanently, but rather than saving the values on database, it will maintain the, or it will changes the values of variables on the local copies instead of permanent change on database. Then there is a second phase, that is a validation phase. As the name suggests, validate, that means it is going to check that if the temporary variable value which we have executed and or which we have operated is actually, or is it equal to, or is it the similar way that we want our actual data to be, and if the very temporary variable value which we have operated and which we have achieved is equal to the actual data, then we can say that it is not violating the concept of serializability when the transactions update are applied to the database. Okay, so this step is actually responsible that if our operations or if our values are going to be saved on our database or not. Third is write phase. If the validation of the transaction is validated, then the temporary results are written to the database or system, otherwise the transaction is rolled back. So this step is actually going to save our temporary variables in our database. Until and unless this phase, we are not going to make the permanent changes in our database. This step is actually is responsible for making the permanent changes in the database. By far, which the operations which we have done in the earlier steps, or earlier steps of transaction are now be permanently saved on the database. If uh, if it is not successful, then the whole transaction will be rolled back, and we are going to proceed to all the operations of the transaction. So here each phase has the following different timestamps. In validation based protocols, we are also maintaining the timestamps. these timestamps are actually responsible for telling us the times of these phases. Like first, start ti means that it is telling us that the transaction ti has been started, and this will encounter the timestamp of the transaction when it is starting. So validation ti, it contains a time when ti finishes its read phase and starts its validation phase. So after it has read all the values, transaction ti has read all the values and it has maintained the changes in temporary variables. This validation phase is actually responsible for checking these operations. So this is the time of ti has read the read all the operations and read all these and has completed the read phase and starts its validation phase. This is a timestamp in between of this two criterion. Finish ti, it contains a time when ti finishes its write phase. So it has a timestamp of when the transaction ti has completely done, and it will record the end time of the transaction. This protocol is used to determine the timestamp for the transaction for serializability using the timestamp of validation phase, as it is the actual phase which determines if the transaction will commit or roll back. Hence, TSTI is equal to validation TI. That means timestamp of any of the transaction is equal to the validation time, because this is the actual time when we are going to decide if the transaction is being saved or not. While executing the transaction, it ensures a greater degree of concurrency and also less number of conflicts. Validation based protocol always maintains a transaction in concurrency, as it avoids major conflicts because it does not deals with the conflict. So it is thinking the thinking process of this validation protocol is that we have achieved the greater degree of concurrency and the quality of the concurrency is higher in this scenario. Thus it contains transactions which have less number of rollbacks. In validation based protocol, this protocol will only operate on those transactions which has minimum number of rollbacks in it. If it has maximum number of rollbacks possibilities, then we are not going to use this protocol, as this protocol is only much appropriate for the transaction which has less rollbacks and less conflicts. So the idea behind optimistic concurrency is to do all the checks at once. So instead of checking at each and every step, we are going to check only once for all the operations of any transaction. Hence transaction execution proceeds with a minimum of overhead. So we are not operating check operation on each and every step of transaction. We are just checking once, so it is going to reduce the overhead of checking the transaction until the validation phase is reached. The main overhead or the main checking procedure will be start at the second phase of our transaction of validation based protocol, that is the validation phase. If there is not much interference among transaction, most of them will have successful validation. If there is no conflict and if there is no interferences between any of the transactions, like if I say I have two transactions T1 and T2, if T2 is not interfering with any operation of T1, if T2 is the younger transaction and T1 is the older transaction, then we can say that it does not have any interference and with each other. T1 and T2, if it does not have any interference between these their operations, only then we can say that it has the maximum successful validations. Otherwise results will be discarded and restarted later. So if we haven't achieved the serializability at the end of the validation phase, then we are going to roll back all the transactions, and the result which were made on the local variables will be discarded, and that will be erased, and we are not going to make any we are not going to check these local variables again for the start of the transaction after the rollback. We are going to maintain again the local variables, and we are not going to check the previous local variable values. So that is the reason of discarding the values. Then after here we have ended our four protocols of concurrency control. These four protocols are actually used in our database management system for maintaining our transaction in serializable conditions. So now what are deadlocks? So as the name suggests, dead logs, that means it is going to dead some of the operations. And like, see, deadlock is a state of database system having two or more transactions when each transaction is waiting for data item that is being logged by some other transaction. That means if one transaction is waiting for some other for some resource, and that resource is already occupied by some other transaction, then this will cause the starvation condition. And if it tries for a number of times to get that resources, but it transaction T1 is not able to get that resource, then it will make our condition of deadlock. That means after starvation there is a condition of deadlock. That means the it has transaction T1 has tried for the zillion times, but it has not received the resource that he wants to acquire. Because of that thing, the deadlock will come. Like, see here in the diagram where we have two processes, process P1 and process P2, and we have two resources R1 and R2. Process 1 has hold of resource R2, and he wants to acquire the resource R1, but R1 is already held by process 2. So process 2 is not going to and process 2 is further wanting the resource R2, which is held by process 1. That means process 2 is not going to release the resource R1, but process 1 wants R1. So this, because of this scenario, there will be a deadlock that will be occurred. So how we can say that these transactions are in deadlock conditions or not? So for this we have some Kaufman conditions. If all these conditions are satisfying, then we can say that our transactions are in deadlock condition. Kaufman stated four conditions for a deadlock occurrence. A deadlock may occur if all the following conditions holds true. That means if all these conditions are true, then we can say that this transaction is holding the deadlock condition. What these four are? Firstly is mutual exclusion condition. There must be at least one resource that cannot be used by more than one process at a time. That means when we were talking about some exclusive logs in shared and exclusion logs, here we were saying that when exclusion log uh, is started, no other resource can or no other transaction can hold the same resources what exclusion log is holding. So that means the resources which one transaction is holding cannot be used by any other transaction. Hold and wait condition: a process that is holding a resource can request for additional resources that are being held by other processes in the system. That means here in this example we are saying that process 2 is already holding R1, but he wants to acquire R2. He is going to hold, and he is not even releasing R1 resource, and he is constantly wanting for the resource R2. And this condition is hold and wait condition, where resource is not releasing its resources, but and in addition to that he needed some more resources. No preemption condition: a resource cannot be forcibly taken from a process. Only the process can release a resource that is being held by it. That means there is no forcing condition here. Only when process wants to release any of the resource, only then he will release the resource. until and unless we are not able to uh, forcefully release that resource from any of the process. Circular wait condition. Circular, as a name suggests, that there is a circular way or the circular path of waiting condition in all the transactions. Like see, uh, T1 is a condition where one process is waiting for the resource that is being held by second process, and the second process is waiting for third process, and so on, and the last process is waiting for the first process. This makes a regular chain of waiting. See, here is a regular chain. That means process process 1 is waiting for R1. R1 is acquired by process 2. Process 2 wanting R2, which is acquired by process 1. So this is making a circular pathway, and this can be of any number of processes. This can be possible when there are n number of processes are present only, so then we can get this issue, and this can be the issue in 2 or 3 processes. So what is deadlock? One way to break deadlock, how we can actually handle these deadlocks. We can handle these deadlocks either by breaking the deadlock or aborting any of the transaction which is actually responsible for the deadlock. Deadlock should be transparent to user, so DBMS should restart transaction. That means if the database administrator has no knowledge, or database user has no knowledge about the deadlock, then how he can actually make some changes or make some restart to the transaction, so that it does not leave its database in deadlock condition, because this deadlock is not actually suitable for our transactions, because this deadlocks can leave our database in inconsistent state, or it can damage our database completely. So this is not feasible for our transactions to be in deadlock conditions. So there are 3 general techniques for handling deadlock. What these 3 are: first is timeouts, second is deadlock prevention, then deadlock detection and recovery. So what are timeouts? Timeouts, as a name suggests, time out. That means a clock which clock will be, and there will be a clock. So transaction that's request log will only for a system defined period of time. That means each transaction will have a time, have a specified system defined period of time for which he can wait for any of the resource. If he has not received the resource until this system time or this timestamp which is allocated by the system, he will permanently roll back its operations, and then he will proceed towards its operation again. If lock has not been granted within the period, lock request timeouts. In this case, DBMS assume transactions may be deadlocked even though it may not be, and it aborts and automatically restarts the transaction. सो व्हाट आई एम ट्राइंग टू से दैट डेडलॉक क्या होते हैं कि जब एक प्रोसेस किसी रिसोर्स को एक्वायर करना चाहता है, बट वो प्रोसेस क्या है, किसी रिसोर्स क्या है, किसी और प्रोसेस ने एक्वायर किया हुआ है। इस कंडीशन में क्या हो जाता है, डेडलॉक की कंडीशन आ जाती है। ठीक है, बिकॉज ऑफ दिस डेडलॉक कंडीशन क्या हो जाता है, हमारा डेटाबेस जो होता है इनकन्सिस्टेंट हो जाता है, और समटाइम्स ऐसे भी हो जाता है कि हमारा डेटाबेस जो है कम्प्लीटली डैमेज भी हो जाता है। ठीक है, तो इसकी वजह से हमने फिर कुछ कॉफमैन की एक प्रॉपर्टीज़ पढ़ी थी कि कॉफमैन ने कुछ कुछ दी थी। अगर ये चारों की चारों कंडीशंस फॉलो होती हैं तो हम क्या बोल सकते हैं कि हमारी कोई भी ट्रांजेक्शन डेडलॉक अचीव कर सकती है, डेडलॉक कंडीशन लेके आ सकती है। तो अभी अगर हम डेडलॉक कर रहे हैं तो हमारे पास कुछ मेथड होना चाहिए कि जिससे हम डेडलॉक को अवॉइड कर सकें या उसको प्रिवेंट कर सकें। ठीक है, तो अभी उसमें हमारे पास 3 तरह के मेथड्स हैं जिससे हम क्या है डेडलॉक को कम्प्लीटली ख़त्म नहीं कर सकते, तो हम उसको हैंडल कर सकते हैं। सो हम ये नहीं बोल सकते कि हमेशा डेडलॉक कम्प्लीटली रिमूव हो सकती है, बट जो चीज़ रिमूव नहीं हो सकती तो हम उसको कुछ ना कुछ ऐसी टेक्निक होनी चाहिए जिससे हम उसको रिमूव कर हैंडल कर पाएँ। सो व्हाट दीज 3 कंडीशंस आर, फर्स्टली इज़ टाइम आउट। टाइम आउट का क्या मतलब है कि हर ट्रांजेक्शन के पास एक सिस्टम डिफाइंड टाइमर होता है, जैसे ही वो टाइमर उसका कंप्लीट, मतलब वो अभी प्रोसेस P1 है सपोज, उसको कोई रिसोर्स चाहिए, ठीक है, वो तब तक वेट करेगा जब तक उसका टाइम काउंटर एंड नहीं हो जाता। अगर ये टाइम काउंटर नहीं होगा तो वो इनडेफिनेट टाइम के लिए उस रिसोर्स के लिए वेट करता रहेगा, ठीक है। इस वजह से इनडेफिनेट टाइम के लिए वो वेट ना करे तो हम क्या बोलेंगे कि ट्रांजैक्शन वेट करेगा फॉर अ सिस्टम डिफाइंड पीरियड ऑफ टाइम, ठीक है। अगर उसको उस टाइम के बीच में कोई भी उसको वो रिसोर्स नहीं मिलता तो वो क्या करेगा, वापस से अपने आप को रोल बैक कर देगा और वापस से सारे के सारे ट्रांजेक्शन को अबोर्ट भी कर, या तो अबोर्ट कर देगा या अपने अबोर्ट करने के बाद क्या करेगा, अपने सारे के सारे ऑपरेशंस को रीस्टार्ट करेगा, ठीक है। ये जो प्रोसेस है ये बहुत सारे कमर्शियल डेटाबेस मैनेजमेंट सिस्टम जो हैं इसको यूज़ कर रहे हैं अपने डेली लाइफ में आजकल। एंड द सेकेंड इज़ डेडलॉक प्रिवेंशन। इफ़ so how we can prevent our deadlocks? For large database, deadlock prevention method is suitable. That means when we are talking about large database, so we need to have some deadlock prevention techniques. A deadlock can be prevented if the resources are allocated in such a way that deadlock never occur. So one way the to prevent the deadlock is that we make our transaction in such a way and the operations are maintained in such a way that deadlock can never occur. Deadlock prevention mechanism proposes two schemes: wait die scheme. In this scheme, a transaction request for a resource that is logged by other transaction. Then the DBMS simply check the timestamp of both transactions. That means क्या है कि इस स्कीम में क्या होता है कि अगर हमारे पास सपोज दो ट्रांजेक्शन्स है T1 एंड T2, जैसे हमने टाइम स्टैम्प बेस्ड प्रोटोकॉल में बात की थी तो उसमें वहाँ पे एक टाइम स्टैम्प चल रहा था और हमने यहाँ पे भी बोला था कि इनके भी टाइम स्टैम्प मेंटेन कर रहे हैं। जब हमने 3 फेजेस के बारे में बात करी थी अपने वैलिडेशन प्रोटोकॉल में, उसमें भी हमने देखा था कि टाइम स्टैम्प्स चल रहे हैं। जब हमने टाइम बेस्ड प्रोटोकॉल की बात करी थी तब भी टाइम स्टैम्प्स चल रहे थे। वहाँ पे हमने बात करी थी कि ओल्डर ट्रांजेक्शन्स एंड द न्यूअर ट्रांजेक्शन और द यंग ट्रांजेक्शन। तो ये पता कैसे लगता है, ये हमें टाइम स्टैम्प से पता लगता है। तो दैट मीन्स कि अगर हमारे पास दो ट्रांजेक्शन्स हैं T1 एंड T2, in which T2 is the younger transaction and T1 is the older transaction. Younger transaction has logged some resource and the older transaction is waiting for it, then older transaction is allowed waitful till it is available. That means अगर हमारे पास T1 और T2 दो transactions हैं, T1 जो है older transaction है, T2 young transaction है। T2 ने कोई ऐसा resource होल्ड किया हुआ है जो T1 को चाहिए था, ठीक है। उस केस में क्या हो रहा है कि T1 वेट करता रहेगा क्योंकि वो ओल्डर ट्रांजेक्शन है, ठीक है, जब तक वो T2 उस रिसोर्स को फ्री नहीं कर देता। जैसे ही वो रिसोर्स फ्री करेगा T1 उसको उस रिसोर्स को एक्वायर कर लेगी। बट अगर ये वाइस वर्सा कंडीशन हो जाती है, दैट मीन्स T1 and T2 transactions are there. T1 is the older transaction and T2 is the younger transaction, and T2 wants any resources which is held by the older transaction, then T2 will be aborted. We are not going to maintain, or we are not going to we are not going for T2 that it has, that it can wait for the transaction T1 to get complete, and वो T1 ने जो रिसोर्स एक्वायर किया है उसके रिलीज होने का वेट नहीं करेगा। हम ट्रांजेक्शन T2 को, जो यंगर ट्रांजेक्शन है, उसको किल कर देंगे एंड वो दोबारा से ट्रांजेक्शन T2 स्टार्ट होगी विद द सेम टाइम स्टैम्प। दैट मीन्स अगर उसका स्टार्टिंग टाइम स्टैम्प 200 है तो 200 टाइम स्टैम्प ही रहेगा, बट उसको ट्रांजेक्शन T2 को हम अबोर्ट कर देंगे और उसको बाद में फिर कभी स्टार्ट करेंगे। Then the second scheme is bound wait scheme. So this scheme is कि T1 and T2 हमारे पास दो ट्रांजेक्शन है, T1 is my older transaction and T2 is my younger transaction. इसमें क्या है कि ट्रांजेक्शन if an older transaction request for resource held by younger transaction, then older transaction forces younger transaction to kill the transaction and release the resource. तो अगर ट्रांजेक्शन को क्या है कि ओल्डर ट्रांजेक्शन इसमें क्या बोलेगी T2 को कि तुम यंगर ट्रांजेक्शन हो, तुम किल हो जाओ और मेरे को मेरा रिसोर्स दे दो जो मुझे चाहिए, ठीक है। अगर ये वाइस वर्सा कंडीशन होती है तो इस कंडीशन में T2 जो यंगर ट्रांजेक्शन है अब वेट कर सकती है। इन द प्रीवियस स्कीम जो ओल्डर ट्रांजेक्शन थी वो वेट कर रही थी, इस स्कीम में यंगर ट्रांजेक्शन वेट कर रही है कि जैसे ही ओल्डर ट्रांजेक्शन कोई जो रिसोर्स उसको चाहिए वो रिलीज़ नहीं करता तब तक वो उसका वेट करेगा, और जैसे ही ओल्डर ट्रांजेक्शन उस रिसोर्स को रिलीज़ करेगी T2 जो यंगर ट्रांजेक्शन है वो उसको एक्वायर कर लेगी. देन deadlock detection and recovery. DBMS allows deadlock to occur but recognizes it and breaks it. तो अगर हम ये बोलें कि डेडलॉक कभी आएगा ही नहीं तो ऐसा कुछ हो ही नहीं सकता, और ये भी नहीं है कि डेटाबेस को जो डेडलॉक्स हैं उसको अकर होने ही नहीं देंगे, ऐसा कुछ नहीं है. बट क्या करेगा DBMS, क्या करेगा कि जैसे ही उसको पता लगता है कि डेडलॉक आ गया उसको वो रिकॉग्नाइज करता है, उसको पहचानता है कि ये जो कंडीशन है वो एक डेडलॉक की कंडीशन है, और उस डेडलॉक को क्या करता है ब्रेक करने की कोशिश करता है. दैट मीन्स कि जो ट्रांजैक्शन से हमारा डेडलॉक अचीव हो रहा है या जिसकी वजह से हमारा डेडलॉक आ रहा है उस पूरी की पूरी ट्रांजैक्शन को अबॉर्ट कर देता है या रोल बैक कर देता है, ताकि जो हमारे डेडलॉक जो आ रहा था वो रिकवर हो सके. ठीक है, पहले मतलब डिटेक्ट कर लिया, उसको रिकॉग्नाइज कर लिया, फिर उसको रिकवर करने के लिए उस पूरे के पूरे एज को क्या कर दिया हमने, या पूरे की पूरी ट्रांजैक्शन को हमने रिमूव कर दिया. यूजली हैंडल्ड बाय कंस्ट्रक्शन ऑफ वेट फॉर ग्राफ showing transaction dependencies. Create a node for each transaction. Create as T1 to Tj if Ti to Tj if Ti is waiting to lock item locked by Tj. Like see, यहाँ पे क्या इस डायग्राम में हम देख रहे हैं एजेस हैं Ti to Tj. सपोज T25 और T26 को हम देखते हैं, T25 और T26 को देख रहे हैं. T25 Ti ट्रांजेक्शन है मेरी, T26 जो है मेरी Tj ट्रांजेक्शन है. कोई रिसोर्स जो T26 के पास है T25 उसको एक्वायर करना चाह रहा है. ठीक है, इसलिए हमने डायरेक्टेड एज ग्राफ जो दिया हुआ है वो T26 की तरफ दिया हुआ है. दैट मीन्स T26 wanting some resource that is held by T28 and T26 also wanting a resource that is held by T27. T28 in contrast needs a resource that is held by T27. So here we can see that there is a graph as we can traverse from, if we are at T25 position, T25 to T26 to T27, T25 to T26 to T28, T28 to T27. There is a circular way in which we can actually go to each and every node of this or each and every transaction by using this graph. So this graph is known as wait for graph, or can be symbolized as WFG. Deadlock exists if and only if WFG contains cycle. So here we are seeing that there is WFG is present, so we can say that here deadlock actually exists. WFG is created at regular intervals. So these वेट फॉर ग्राफ इज़ मेंटेन एट रेगुलर इंटरवल्स. तो अभी क्या कर सकते हैं कि जैसे ही हम यहाँ पे जो मेन ट्रांजेक्शन है, जैसे T27 अगर हुई नहीं हमारे पास, तो अगर सपोज हम क्या करते हैं फॉर रिकवरी के लिए, मैंने आपको क्या बोला था कि हम उस ट्रांजेक्शन को ब्रेक ही कर देंगे जो डेडलॉक एक्वायर कर रहा है. जैसे सपोज हियर T27 इज़ एक्चुअली holding all the resources which is required, which T25 wanted. T26 is also wanting that the particular same resource. T28 is also wanting a resource that is held by T27. That means T27 is wanting is holding all the resources that the rest 3 transaction is needed. So we are simply going to break this T27 transaction, where we are going to simply abort this transaction so that there is not any wait for graph that will be present. So in this way we can actually uh, detected a deadlock, and then we have recovered our deadlock. So here we are going to end our lecture for validation based protocols and the deadlock, in which we have studied about what are deadlocks and how we can actually handle that deadlock. For handling we have studied about timeouts, deadlock prevention, and then deadlock detection and recovery. Thank you so much.